Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to Gift of Healing TV. I'm Sara Jane, and I am delighted to be joined by my good friend from across the pond, David McLeod. David, thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you, Sarah, for inviting me on. It's always a joy to spend some time sharing with you and talking about interesting topics.
And our topic for today is, well, it's evening for me and morning for you, near enough, I think, is connecting with your future self. Now, we are both going to share a little sort of meditative exercise type thing for you to potentially experience this for yourself. But I know a lot of people's reaction would be, hang on, how can you connect with your future self? So do you want to share a few of your thoughts, David?
Yeah, the idea of a future self is kind of a mind-bending exercise. Most of us have a challenge staying present to who I am right now, kind of thing. And so the idea of imagining a future self and connecting with that future self, that's a challenge. And part of that challenge, I think, comes about because we have a pretty narrow view of this whole concept of time. You know, time as we understand it is a linear thing. It's always progressing forward. We think of tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. You know, we think of the minutes passing by, the hours, the days, the months, the years, and so forth. We imagine everything is in a linear progression, and that, I think, is a useful model for making our way through this physical world that we have to live in. Well, we don't have to live in, that we have chosen to live in. And so it is useful in that sense. But I think the reality is, and I think quantum physics is starting to prove this out, is that time is really an illusion. It's not really there at all. In fact, science, I believe, and quantum physics in particular, has been able to demonstrate that past, present, and future are all happening at the same time. And that throws a monkey wrench into the works, because if that's really true, then how do I even explain where I am, how I am, what I'm doing? How do I explain any aspect of my life? So the question then becomes, if that's true, then the future self exists right here now, just as any past self that I might imagine, just as my present self. So connecting to the future self should be an easy and instantaneous process. What do you think?
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. And in fact, sort of I don't know whether it was a couple of years or so ago, it was sort of dreams are information given to us by our future self. Our future self knows what's going to happen beyond where we are today, not necessarily beyond where they are, because there's a future self beyond that as well. So sort of
right,
and I love that. You and I couldn't have connected if we didn't have the time thing, the clock thing, because it would be all over the place. How could we connect? You know, it's sort of just gone 7:30 in the evening here, and it's what is it 12:30 for you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's lunchtime, 12:30, not midnight.
Right.
And we couldn't have connected for this life experience if we didn't have this reality. But it doesn't stop us from being aware that there's so much more beyond this reality. And there was something I sort of saw on the internet yesterday about what we can see, the very limited vision that we actually have, and very limited hearing that we have, the Hertz hearing and whatever. There is so much more going on around us that we can't see. And when I sort of saw that, and I thought, how many times do you get that sense that you think is a figure out of the corner of your eye, and you look and there's nothing there, but there potentially is?
Well, it's interesting that you mention it that way, you look and there's nothing there. Well, of course, there's not nothing, because nothing doesn't exist. Nothing is a complete fabrication as well. You know, if you think about it, everything is energy, right? And energy implies vibration, implies frequency, as you mentioned. And so everything vibrates at its own frequency. You know, they can vary. You know, like I as a human being operate at a certain, maybe a range of frequencies, just as you do. And there's overlap between our frequencies. And this is why we are able to interact with each other. But you hit the nail right on the head. This idea of, let's just take hearing as an example. Sound waves typically vibrate in an infinite variety of frequencies, but our ears are tuned to a range from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. That's a cycle, 20 cycles per second to 20,000 cycles per second. So we can hear anything that happens to vibrate, any sound that happens to vibrate in those ranges. And of course, it has to be loud enough that our ears can perceive it, right? Anything outside those ranges disappears out of our hearing. And so we, in our ego mind, start to make up the story, well, I can't hear it, therefore it doesn't exist. And the same is true for vision. The visions have a much higher range of frequencies. I think it goes from 300 megahertz to 600 or 900 megahertz or something like that. These are the frequencies of light that our eyes are tuned to see. And so if it's not within those ranges, we don't see it. Well, that's true. We don't see it, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Yeah. So it's really important for us to understand that our senses, all of our senses, are designed to detect ranges within a certain limit. And those are on purpose so that we can navigate our way through this physical life in a good way. But don't assume that anything beyond the range of any of your five senses doesn't exist. That is an incorrect assumption. Now, it may be that something does not exist out there, but it's not guaranteed. And so this is really, really important to kind of embrace and understand, I think, because it helps us to learn more about who we really are and begin to tune into senses that don't exist within our five sense bodies. And, you know, we talk about intuition as a kind of a sixth sense, but it's not the only one. There are many ways that your body, that you can become aware of things that are happening outside of the physical body. And it's important, I think. And it's part of our spiritual practice to learn how to interpret these things. I know, for example, Sarah, you have, you know, lots of channeling experiences. You've got all these different entities that you communicate with. None of us can necessarily see those, but I think some of us might have the same experience that you have of communicating with them in some way. What's that like for you?
I suppose they channel through me, so I don't actually end up with conversations with them per se. Mm-hmm. But think about, I'm just thinking about sort of that time I sat on the stairs in my little house, the one before this one. And this was before I even started any of this. So we're going back quite a few years. And it was just like, what can I do for me? All the stuff I had been through, I was feeling very blessed, but I somehow knew that there was more for me to do, but it was for me to do it. It wasn't wasn't looking for outside of myself per se. And it was just like, well, I could learn massage, but I can't exactly massage myself. It was just like, what can I learn for me? And I think I actually said those words out loud. And then within a couple of weeks, at a holistic fair, I met somebody who said, oh, with Reiki, the first person you treat is yourself. What had I asked? So we can ask these questions, if you like, of the universe. It is for us to be open to the answers. And that's not the only time something's happened. It really isn't. But there is so much more to life. And I personally work with helping people to reconnect with their inner child. And I've done exactly the same for me. And I think you've potentially experienced it as well. Mm-hmm. So we're comfortable, most of us are comfortable with the fact that we can reconnect with an aspect of ourselves in the past. So why can't we the future? And one of the Reiki masters that was also taught by my own Reiki master, we were all having a conversation, and he said, well, not only can you send the energy back in time, you can also send it forward in time. Mm-hmm. So if you know that there's something coming up and you wish to send energy to all those involved in it, you can do that. So if somebody's about to have an operation and you wish to send some energy to support not just the individual being operated on, but all those doing that work as well, you can do that. We knew about the back, it was the forward. And you can send the energy back in time as well, So this starts to open up a massive thought process, food for thought for people. Because I do see that sometimes dreams can be our future self telling us what's actually potentially there for us in our future. Mm-hmm. And encouraging us to take the action to make it happen.
Right. Yeah. I like that image, actually. First of all, you talk about this idea of sending energy. I find that a fascinating concept because I don't think of myself as sending energy so much as connecting to something with the energy I am. When I'm truly, I wouldn't even say disconnected, when I'm connected to my higher self and my ego mind has gone into silence or almost silence, it feels to me like I'm just an infinite expanse of energy. Everything is touching everything everywhere. It's all universally connected. And not only everywhere, but every when. In other words, the notion of time kind of disappears. The notion of space kind of disappears. And everything just is all one big universal, well, maybe not even big. Maybe it's a tiny little thing. I don't know. It feels expansive though, right? And so the idea of connecting with any self, regardless of how old it might be, to me just seems like a perfectly natural thing to do in that spiritual awareness space. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is a really difficult concept to articulate because words just seem to fail. They don't work very well in this context. Our entire language has been constructed around, the idea of linear events happening. We have a past, present, and future tenses in our verbs. We have we're constantly using things like today and yesterday and tomorrow and all this kind of stuff. We're constantly referencing these different points in time, even though none of them really exist. If you think about it for a moment, everything in your past is all memory, but you're remembering it right now. So it's happening right now, right? And anything that you imagine in your future is something that you're imagining right now. So it exists right now. Yeah. That's a play on words. It's just semantic games, people say. I said, no, it's not. That is the way we operate. That's how awareness operates. So why should we think it's so strange to talk to a future self? To me, it's a perfectly natural thing to do.
We don't think twice about talking to our angels, our guides, our guardians.
Well, some people do, but some people don't. So you're right. Some people are still stuck in their secular belief system, and that there is no spiritual force or anything like that. Well, you're welcome to have that belief system if you like, but I think the evidence overwhelmingly proves that idea, that belief system is wrong. So all you have to do is open your eyes and ears and just pay attention, and you'll see that there is something beyond that physical essence.
When I was talking about energy, I was thinking, because I send the Reiki energy.
Right.
I send the vocal toning, and that energy can be offered out to others.
Of course.
I don't have to be in the same room with them.
Right.
And I never look at working with energy and giving it. Giving to me, and it's very much as I was taught, giving suggests that you're trying to be in control of that energy and how the individual receives it, where they receive it, etc.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, and some people very much try to work like that. And it's just that's very alien to me because of how I was taught. When I offer the energy, when I send that energy, it's an offering. And I always sort of like use the words, for each to accept or reject as they choose. Also to arrive at a time safe and convenient for them. There's absolutely no point if somebody's driving, offering them the Reiki energy and then actually being affected by that energy. That potentially could cause an accident. It's just like, no, safe and convenient. It has to be. Somebody works with machines and it's just like, no, you can't go there. It's just like, so it's just an understanding that you're offering for the higher good. And and again, that's wording that I tend to use. Yes, we are all connected. Of course we are. But I'm obviously coming from a perspective of caring, if you like, of love, whatever term you want to put on it. But there's some people that might like to send out loads of negative energy to people. And so, and then, okay, is that like the saying, it's like holding a hot coal and expecting the other person to get burnt.
Right. Yeah. So, it's like, but what you're talking about is something that happens to everybody. Oh, that's Sarah. She said something that just hurt my feelings. How I wish she suffers because she's, this is what happens. Our ego minds catch on, they get all caught up in the story about whatever happens in a situation. And the more you seek to get revenge or justice or get even or whatever that terminology is you want to use there, the more that's exactly what you're talking about, sending out the negative energy. And it may have an impact on the other person, but what's interesting is it has even stronger impact on me. And you said it yourself. I've heard the story a little differently, drinking a cup of poison and expecting the other person to die, holding a hot coal and expecting the other person to be burned. That's kind of what you're doing here.
Yeah.
And so if you choose to live that way, well, that's your lot in life. And the other person may or may not be impacted by that. Hopefully they won't. Hopefully they'll still be able to live their life without your negative energy, right? And you will eventually come to a place of forgiveness, because forgiveness is the only energy that can release that desire for revenge and justice and all that. It doesn't make the other person right. It doesn't mean you have to agree with anything they did. It doesn't mean you ever have to condone what they did. And it doesn't mean you ever have to even talk to them again. What it's doing is it's releasing you, freeing you from that. And now the idea of negative energy no longer has any relevance. That's kind of, I'm sorry, I guess I took over the conversation there.
And we've got off on a beautiful tangent, but that it said the energy that you put out comes back to you tenfold.
Right.
So that's exactly what you've just said. Right. They might be impacted, but guess what? You get way more of it than they do. That's because, and I know people will be thinking, but I send out lots of loving, caring energy. I try to do my best not to go into that. And I really do. I really do try. It's just like, okay, release to the light with love. Sort of, yeah. And I really do try and do that, because I actually would prefer to steer clear of as much negative energy as possible.
Sure.
It makes life that's why I don't watch the news.
Right.
But okay, so yes, life is all happening now. And therefore we can connect with a younger self and an older self. And depending on what's going on in your life, as to which, the way I like to look at it is, if you wish to help your younger self, it would help to get much more of an understanding of what happened at that time for the you today. And by connecting with your older self, who has already gone through all of this, including what you're now going to be asking it, they can support you so that at some stage, when you are ready, you've got a greater knowledge of your past story and all the things that you couldn't understand at the time, so that you of today can support the younger you, whenever that was. So that's where this all came from for me.
Right.
But I am going to say to you, David, let's start with what you would like to share for folks, to just, if you'd like to try and connect with your older self, here are just a couple of thoughts for you that you could try and experience for yourself. So David, I'm going to hand over to you, and I'm going to let you do whatever you'd like to share first.
Okay. Just to be clear, how much time would you like me to use here?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know, 10 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
At the most.
Yeah, right. I understand. Yeah. Well, here's what I would suggest, friends. We all have challenges in life. So let's suppose that today in your life, there is some kind of a challenge that you're dealing with. And you're struggling with figuring out how to get through it. Okay. Now, the first thing I'd like to remind you is, if you take a look backwards in your life, you already have run into many, many, many challenges over the course of your lifetime. You have found a way over them, around them, under them, or directly through them to get where you are today. Every single one. And so you've had basically a personal record of 100% success in getting through all the challenges of your life to get where you are today. But now you're facing a new challenge. Okay? This is the situation you're in right now. And maybe you're forgetting how successful you've been in the past. Well, this is where you can say, maybe there's a way for me to talk to the person who has had that success, who found a way through this challenge. And now what I'd like to do is ask you to just close your eyes. Just close your eyes, take a couple of deep breaths, come present into your body. And as you breathe, feel yourself getting lighter. The problem that you have is just kind of in the background. It's not necessarily front and center. It's disappearing, it's fading into the background. As you breathe, you feel lighter and lighter. Now take several more deep breaths, and with each breath, imagine yourself rising gently off your chair. You don't feel the chair pushing up on your butt anymore, or the ground pushing up on your feet. You just feel lighter and lighter, and you're rising. And as you rise, you can see the earth falling away below you, and you're rising up into the beautiful starry space all around. Just feel it and enjoy it. The coolness, the comfortableness, the safety of it. And you find yourself kind of turning slowly in place, just rotating, looking around, seeing the whole universe all around you. And after a moment or two, you feel pulled in a particular direction. Don't worry about where that direction is. You've already set the intention. So you know that you're being pulled towards a version of yourself that has succeeded and has brought itself into its position. You may think of this as an older version of yourself, or a wiser version of yourself, or maybe it's your higher consciousness. You can think of it in any way you like, but start feeling yourself drawn in that direction. And after a few more breaths, you notice that you're slowing down and you're stopping. And now, more breaths, you're dropping down again. And you're dropping down gently, like you're on a very, very long elevator, and it's bringing you down to the earth. And you're standing in this beautiful, beautiful place, your favorite place in all the world. Perhaps it's beside a mountain. Maybe it's on a mountain. Maybe it's beside the ocean. Maybe it's beside the river. Whatever that place is, just feel it surrounding you. And if you look to your left, you see sitting on a beautiful rock is your future self. And so you just naturally start walking over, and you find yourself embracing this future self. And you say, oh, I'm so glad to see you. This is amazing. I'm feeling huge amounts of love and connection in my heart. And your future self is smiling at you with huge eyes and big open arms, and wraps you in a hug and says, I'm so glad you're here. The future self says, I understand that you're having a bit of a challenge right now. Tell me a little bit about your challenge. And so in the next few breaths, you share with your future self exactly what this problem is. So I'm going to go silent for a moment. I'm going to ask you to just quietly share in your own way what that challenge might be. And as you speak, your elder self, your future self, responds with compassion and love and understanding. And after you have finished speaking, your future self says, oh yes, I remember that situation. It was a doozy. And it took some work, some effort to find my way through that. And here's what I did. And listen carefully to what your future self says. Just listen with open heart, open mind, open ears. And notice the simplicity and the beauty of the solution. And feel yourself saying, oh yeah, I can do that. I can embrace that. I can see why this can be, or I can see how this can be solved. And I can also see why this obstacle was put in front of me. I'm beginning to understand more about my purpose in life. This is amazing. Take a few more deep breaths and allow your future self to share any closing, supportive, loving statements. Give your future self a big hug. And then step back to place where you landed on this space in the earth. Say, give a wave goodbye. Take some more deep breaths and allow yourself now to begin rising again. Rising gently up into the beautiful vastness of space. Feel yourself turning gently until you start pointing back in the direction from which you came, and allow yourself to be drawn back in that direction. And as you slow down over top of the same spot that you started from, keep breathing deeply. Allow yourself to descend gently, slowly returning yourself to the place where you started from, standing, sitting, whatever you were doing, and feel the earth pressing up on your feet or pressing up on your butt where you're sitting. Take a few deep breaths. Remember to smile with gratitude for the gift of wisdom that you've just been given. And gently open your eyes and bring yourself back to this present moment with the knowledge and the wisdom that you have about how you can solve this problem that's been before you. And start to feel the excitement building as you imagine taking this problem, taking this bull by the horns, as it were, and dealing with it in the way only you can do. And give gratitude to your future self for providing you with this information. And when you have some time, I would encourage you to write in your journal exactly what this experience was like for you. Write it down, because you can do this yourself anytime. You don't need me to guide you. You can learn to do it by yourself. Thank you.
Bless you. Thank you, David. Yeah, you shouldn't have taken me off planet. Oh, seriously. I know exactly where I ended up. I have no idea what I was told, but wisdom was definitely downloaded. So I always end up a place somewhere like the Pleiades. So it's just like,
that's all right. It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. It's accepting that. It's accepting, because I'm seriously one of these people. I have to stay grounded. I have to stay here on Earth. Meditation is the only time I'm allowed off planet, and you took me there.
Well, I didn't actually say you had to leave the planet. I said you're lifting off from one place and moving to another place. And I like this, the symbology of open space, because it's infinite possibilities. And that's why I do that.
Yeah, no, that was lovely. It really was. Thank you. As I said, have no idea what was downloaded, but that's nothing unusual.
You can journal it later.
Oh, well, it'll make itself known as and when, and I may not be aware of when it appears. There you go. So, and so, whatever you experience from that, just trust it. It was what it was meant to be for you. As I said before, the exercise for myself is about sharing, you connecting with an older self to support you to be able to support a younger self, opening your awareness, if you like. So very much sort of like David, about sort of relax and close your eyes. And I'd like you to invite your roots down into Mother Earth, deep into Mother Earth, anchoring into Mother Earth. Mother Earth is sending up her love and her protection through your roots, into your feet, up into your legs, up into your whole body, totally surrounding and protecting you. Allow yourself to breathe in and out. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. Feel your body. And go within your heart. Find a space within your heart and invite an older aspect of yourself who has experienced what you are going through and what you are hoping to do for your younger self. A you that has been opened to the full experience that your younger self had but couldn't understand all the aspects of it. You may also wish to invite in one of your angels, your guardian angels, or your spirit guides, or both, to support you in this. And if you have a specific thing that you've been thinking of your younger self, what you went through, it is not about making the younger self relive it. It is just an awareness of the whole experience and asking your older self to talk you through a full understanding of everything, not just the feelings that younger self went through. Listen to the wisdom of your older self. Listen and be open to awareness of circumstances outside of others' control, something you wouldn't have understood as a child. Understanding maybe what the other individuals were going through at the time. This isn't about condoning or saying that it was acceptable what happened. It is just about understanding. Leave you just for a short period, but know that you can come back and do this and give yourself longer to listen and become aware of more. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to shed a tear. Feel free to be open to a greater awareness and understanding. There is so much love and caring right here for the you of yesterday, for the you of today, from the you of tomorrow, from your guides, your guardians, your angels. Feel yourself wrapped in the love of caring and understanding, of openness and of awareness. And when you are ready, allow the you of tomorrow, your guides and your guardians, to slip back into the mists of time, knowing that they are always there to support you. Slowly bring yourself back from your heart into your whole body, feeling the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe in and out. You may wish to move your fingers and your toes, your arms and your legs. Stretch your shoulders, feeling your body. And when you are ready, open your eyes. Did you get anything from that, David? Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. That was lovely.
And it's knowing that there is more to every situation, even the ones we experience today, than we are aware of. And so anything that can support us to have a greater understanding and awareness. We're coming to the close of our program. Anything you'd like to share before we do, David?
Well, I think we clearly demonstrated that time is an illusion, and that each of us is empowered to connect with any and every aspect of ourselves, no matter where we imagine it might be in time. So my encouragement is for people to try this on their own. It doesn't have to be my method, or it doesn't have to be Sarah's method. It could be any method you choose. Find a way that works for you to connect with all of who you are, including the parts that may not exist in your idea of time.
Yeah.
That's my invitation.
Exactly. I second that. Because there is more to each of us that we are aware of.
Right.
So, and if you feel you wish to experience these again, having experienced them once, and you wish to be guided again, so that you're then in that space of thinking, I can do this on my own. And as David said, find the way that works for you. I know when I work with people and help them to connect to their younger self, I do that by using their name and toning. That works for some people. It doesn't work for everyone. There are a lot of people that help people to connect with their inner child.
Right.
This is just taking it a step further into the future.
Beautiful.
So David, thank you so very much for joining me for this, for the wisdom that you have shared, and the meditation you shared. Very much appreciated. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Next week, we have a today's conversation. Our guest is Pam McDonnell, and there's going to be 3 of us with Pam. your energy, your voice. So I'm not sure where that one's going to go, but I did meet Pam this afternoon. So this is going to be a fascinating conversation, just as there's been so much wisdom shared here in this program today. David, thank you. Take care, folks. Be safe. Stay well. Namaste.
Bye-bye.
Bye.